what I want everybody to stop hating on Bronny James. And I know everybody's going to have a different reaction to what I'm saying, but I think we need to look at this a little bit more empathetically. And I think people are taking this a little too far where they are just hating on Bronny because of something that frankly he can't really control, right? I think a lot of people in many different industries benefit from having a family member be in that industry before, because that family member having that prior experience most likely has connections, they have knowledge, they have lots of things that other people who are brand new to that specific industry don't have, right? So it kind of gives you a head start. But Bronny James is not the only person who has ever had this happen. And there are plenty of other people on the planet who have frankly benefited more, outside of basketball. Plenty of business people that no one sits and focuses on because they inherited their family business, or they wind up inheriting a bunch of money from their parents or their grandparents or whatever, right? I just think a lot of people are hating on Bronny because they don't like LeBron. And whatever, if you don't like LeBron, that's up to you. Nobody's telling you who you got to root for, who you got to like. But it's just like, is that really what people are spending their time and energy on? Like you hate this one guy so much that you don't know. I guarantee you all the people that are hating on LeBron probably don't know him. I mean, there's probably a few maybe that know him, but the majority of people that are fans, just fans of basketball, that hate LeBron James because he's LeBron James and he had the decision and all this other stuff. How weird is that for you to be like, oh, I hate this guy, so I'm going to hate on his son and hope that his son fails? That's weird, bro. That's weird. That's weird. And you're expending too much of your own energy caring about something that, frankly, is totally out of your control. Whether or not Bronny pans out in the league has nothing to do with anything that people are saying. And, and I think media outlets have taken it a little bit too far too, covering Bronny, every single summer league game. I agree. That's not something that typically happens for players. But if there was another player that got picked in the late second round or went undrafted that was a really well-known college player or a really well-known high school player, or had a big name, people would be talking about it too. I don't think anyone's ever going to have this level of attention though that Bronny's getting, in all in relativity of where he was picked and what his situation is and all that. But I think it's also just wrong because you guys have to think about what he's gone through. And I'm not saying oh my God, he's been through so much, blah, blah, but I'm just talking strictly basketball. When he got to USC, he was practicing and he went into cardiac arrest. He legitimately had a heart attack. That's crazy. He's I think now he's 19, but when he got there, I think he wasn't even 18 yet. Maybe he was 18. I don't know. But just have some compassion for this kid that's chasing his dreams. I genuinely believe this is his dream. This is not LeBron's dream that he's forcing on him. I genuinely think that Bronny wants to play in the NBA and he wants to play basketball as his career. And to see this kid go from going into cardiac arrest and then being cleared a few months later, and then making it to the NBA, that's an incredible story. If anything, we should find inspiration in this thing that he's doing, right? And I personally, I feel bad for him because I think he's probably pretty good at dealing with the criticism at this point. I mean, he grew up being LeBron James' son, so I'm sure he heard it all throughout his basketball career, through elementary school, middle school, high school, everything, right? And, I'm personally rooting for him. I'm a big LeBron fan, but that doesn't really have anything to do with this. Like, whether or not I like LeBron or I dislike LeBron, like, I still think anyone that goes through this type of situation in their life, especially when they play a sport, is like, it's incredible to continue pushing and not give up and just try to make the most of the opportunity that you have, right? And I do think he's going to make, very good use of his opportunity. I think he's going to be a guy that plays in the NBA. I don't think he's going to be a guy that plays one game in the NBA and then you never see him again. I think he's going to log like probably at least 100+ games in his NBA career. Is he going to be a 10-year NBA vet? I don't know. I personally can't make that judgment at this point because he's only played Summer League. And we're probably not going to see him play that much on the NBA level this year. We might not even see him play that much on the NBA level next year, right? But I think by year 3, he's probably going to be logging some good minutes, right? And there's, if people want to talk about nepotism and this and that, whatever, there's plenty of guys who have played in the NBA, like on the basis of the fact that they can play basketball and, they have a name, right? Like people don't remember, like Patrick Ewing Jr. was in the league for a little bit. I don't think he played more than like 10 games, but would he have gotten a chance in the league if his dad wasn't one of the greatest centers of all time, wasn't a Knicks legend? Who knows? So you could say the same thing about Bronny, but I think for either of those guys, they made it to the league, and that's what matters, right? So Bronny hasn't officially made it to the league yet, but he's signed a contract, and he's going to get an opportunity to show what he can do, right? And I think everyone should acknowledge at this point that Bronny's not going to be LeBron, right? Like, that's just not going to happen, right? It doesn't matter who you are. There's never going to be another LeBron James. There's going to be players that have significant impacts on the game, but there's probably never going to be a player again that plays exactly like LeBron James and plays with the level of effectiveness for the length of time that LeBron James has done it. It's just not going to happen. So if that's the standard you're holding Bronny James to, you need to revise those expectations, right? And if you're just doing it because you want to be an asshole, and then that's your own fault. But again, I just don't see the point in hating on this guy because you don't like LeBron or you're jealous that Bronny's getting attention because he's LeBron's son. Because I can guarantee you, I don't think Bronny wants the attention. I genuinely believe that Bronny does not want the attention because it's a distraction. Most basketball players understand, especially if you've played at a higher level. You don't care what people are saying about you. Frankly, you don't want people talking about you. So, some players do, but that takes away from the game, right? Like if you're a true basketball player and you just love playing basketball, you just want to play basketball. And whatever people say, that's up to them. But you're not going to listen to it, right? So I think if Bronny just keeps his head on straight and he just does what he needs to do and just works hard, he's gonna prove everybody wrong. And then eventually, I don't think the hate will ever really go away because people just have a ton of animosity towards LeBron James and his family for whatever reason. It's probably just jealousy, but it's a problem, right? So my advice to the fans that are hating on Bronny is like, don't waste your energy. Use that energy to do something positive. The world will operate better if people are more positive and don't look at people with these negative lenses. If people were doing bad things and bad and just doing things that are bad and mean and violent or whatever, then yes, you should not respect those people. You should not be willing to give those people empathy because they clearly lack it. But Bronny's not doing any of that. He's a good kid, plays hard, and he just wants to win. And he's gone through a lot of stuff in his basketball career. So I would urge people to revamp their scope when looking at this situation. And, it is what it is, right? And there's no real point in hating on someone because they get an opportunity. Just because you get an opportunity doesn't mean that it's going to work out for you, right? But if you get an opportunity and that works out for you, it was meant to be, right? And if it's meant to be, you're going to get those opportunities regardless of who you are or who you know or whatever. You just got to believe and have faith in the world, in the universe, that good things are going to come to good people, right? So stop hating on Bronny. Let the man just play basketball, and, you know, whatever issues you got with LeBron, keep that with LeBron. Don't bring it to his children. Figure your out. Peace.